Good morning. Welcome to our online-only Sunday morning service of First Unitarian Church of Wilmington, Delaware. My name is Reverend Pamela Watt, and I am the minister here at First Unitarian. And I'm delighted that you have chosen to join us from the comfort of your home. Unitarian Universalism is rooted in centuries-old traditions that teach that our beliefs should help us to be the best people that we can be, and that our faith should help us to create the world we dream about. We draw from many beliefs and sources of wisdom, including various world religions, earth-based traditions, Judaism, Christianity, humanism, nature, and personal experience. And we are equally diverse in our welcome, where we strive to welcome people no matter your age, economic status, race, ethnicity, gender identity or sexual orientation, or other factors that sometimes keep people apart in the world. During this time of online-only activities, I hope you will participate in one of our many pandemic-friendly forms of online communication and engagement. Be sure to subscribe to our weekly email newsletter so that you don't miss out on the latest news and opportunities. You can find instructions for subscribing on our website at firstuuwilm.org. One way that we're trying to bridge our connections in worship is that we are issuing weekly challenges to everyone in the congregation. Your challenge for next week, which is Easter and Passover, is to share with us your answers to this question. What idea or value, maybe ethic, or maybe it's a feeling or some kind of disposition, do you think needs to be awakened in our world right now? What idea, what disposition, what feeling needs to be awakened in our world right now? Send your words, no more than a sentence, or some kind of picture that embodies your answer to connection@firstuuwilm.org. Please send them by noon on Wednesday, April 8th, for inclusion in next Sunday's Easter Passover service. We especially invite people of all ages to respond to the question, and also people of all ages to join us next week for our whole church worship service. If you are watching this service live, I invite you to take a moment to say hello in the chat box to those who are joining online with you. And now let us also prepare our hearts and minds for worship.
Light is offered for you now. The dust of guilt is on your brow. You may think you've run away, but inside you're here to stay. All of you, all of you, all of you. No, you can't escape these walls. Can answer when she calls. The angel within you who is trying to win you. All of you, all of you, all of you. Light is now and you are here, but now you know that she is near. Light is rain, light is glass, light is knowing life will pass. All of you, all of you, all of you. No, you can't escape these walls. No, you can't. its silence, light its sound, light its knowing you've been found. All of you, all of you, all of you. No, you can't escape these walls. 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 No, you can't.
Good morning, First Unitarian Church of Wilmington. This is Kate Fronta, one of your worship associates, with the call to worship today. For all who feel or who are contained, bound, or imprisoned, may the teachings of this day liberate our minds, and may our circle of connection liberate our hearts into love, peace, and community.
Each week here at First Unitarian Church, like many other Unitarian Universalist congregations around the world, we light a chalice, a symbol of what is steady and unwavering, even in the midst of uncertainty and chaos, disappointment and loss, and joy and delight. We light a chalice, which too is a symbol of our interdependence with our world and with one another, and which affirms the spark of the divine in each of us. This past week, we issued our Chalice Challenge, and as part of our chalice lighting time this morning, I would like to share some of the results of the responses you sent in with chalices that you made from found objects at home and in nature.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. All around the town, I'm gonna let it shine. All around the town, I'm gonna let it shine. All around the town, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Free of fear and hatred, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, free of fear and hatred, I'm gonna let it shine. Free of fear and hatred, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Building a new world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building a new world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building a new world, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Now, if you have a chalice at home, you might want to get it ready because shortly I'm going to be lighting our sanctuary chalice, and I'll be inviting you to light yours at home as well. There are two moments in one's life that I believe are the most sacred, most precious times: the going in and going out of one's life. This year we started a new tradition here at First Unitarian Church where, when sharing the news of a death in the congregation or sharing the news of a birth in the congregation, we dedicate our chalice lighting to the person whose life we are recognizing. As it turns out today, we are dedicating our chalice lighting to two people, someone in our midst who has left us, and someone who has come into new life in our congregation. Just a few weeks ago, Peter Serker, a member of this church, was very suddenly diagnosed with metastatic cancer. He was beginning treatment with the hope of being able to overcome this cancer, but wound up admitted to the hospital where he died last Friday. Peter had been through various hardships in his life, but he was also someone who radiated a lot of joy. He was a talented musician, played classical guitar, lute, and piano, and he also had a deep love of animals. When I spoke to him a couple of weeks ago, he shared all the different animals who had been a big part of his life, and also asked me lots of questions about my dog and cats. He attended services here each week very faithfully, often sat on the left side of the sanctuary, rather quiet, but always very present. I know he will be missed by all who got to know him. We extend our care and concern to all who are grieving this loss in our lives, especially to his brother Wilkie, niece Leah, nephew Benjamin, and all of his friends and family. At this point, no services have been arranged, but I will keep you posted. On the other side of life, we celebrate new birth. Rob and Sarah Barlow brought into the world Finnegan Lucas Barlow. Finnegan was born on March 19th at 8:23 in the morning. He weighed a healthy 8.13 pounds and measured 20 inches long. The family is overjoyed. Sarah says that Benji is taking to being a big brother wonderfully and mostly just wants to help with the baby. Even with the felt distance of this pandemic, Sarah, Rob, Benji, and Finnegan, we hope that you feel the support of this, your Unitarian community, and the love and joy that we share with you today. And we can't wait to welcome Finnegan into our community. And so I will light our chalice flame, and I invite you to light yours at home. And as we do, we feel the spark of life, the gratitude for life in its coming and in its going. We light our chalice for Peter Serker with gratitude for all the ways that he touched others. And we light this chalice for Finnegan Lucas Barlow in anticipation of all the ways that he will touch others in his time on this earth. You at home are invited to sing along with us this hymn by words from one of our more famous Unitarians, Ralph Waldo Emerson. We sing of golden mornings.
We sing of golden mornings, we sing of sparkling
Please join me in saying the words of our unison affirmation. First Unitarian Church of Wilmington is a beloved community that nourishes minds and spirits, fights injustice, and transforms the world through loving action. Our story today comes from the Buddhist tradition. It's about a man and a tiger. There was a man who was walking through a field one day, enjoying life, when he noticed a tiger making its way toward him. He was terrified and started running across the field. And when he got to the edge of the field, he realized that he was on a cliff. He turned back and the tiger was quick approaching him. And so he did the only thing he could do is he found a vine, he grabbed it and pushed off away from the edge of the cliff and came back dangling on that cliffside, clinging on to this vine. The tiger was above him on that cliff's edge, pacing and staring at this man who was hanging by this vine. He was licking his chops, and he just couldn't wait to get a taste of that man. The man didn't know what to do, so he looked down to see how far he had. It was a little ways down, but as he looked, he realized that there was a tiger down below, too, eagerly looking up at this man. The man hung there, wondering what he should do, when he noticed that out of the cracks, the crevices in that cliff, two little mice scurried out, sniffing the air and looking around. When they caught sight of that vine hanging off of the cliff, and they started gnawing and chewing at the vine. Just then, the man noticed off to his left a strawberry, beautiful ripe strawberry, hanging off of a branch. And leaving one hand gripping the vine, he took the other hand, reached for that strawberry, popped it in his mouth. It was delicious. I wonder what this story is about. I wonder who you are in this story.
Please join me in meditative contemplation. I invite you now to sit with your feet firmly on the floor, your spine aligned. Take a couple of deep, full breaths. Close your eyes. Turn your attention inward, inside your body. What feels most restricted in your body in this moment? Where would you like more space? Imagine that with your next inhalation, the restrictions melt away. You are spacious and free. Imagine that with the next inhalation, the space you are craving is softly surrounding you. What will you do with this space? What will you do with this freedom? What responsibilities come with liberation? will you give back to others now that you are free?
We hold in our awareness those who are suffering today, those who need our care and concern. You might be thinking of a loved one, or a stranger, or even yourself. I invite you now to say out loud the names of those who are on your heart and mind this day. May each person whose name was spoken and those unspoken experience a fullness, a freedom, a peace in their lives. Many college applications include an essay question that sounds something like this. In order for our admissions staff of our college to get to know you, the applicant, better, we ask that you answer the following question. Are there any significant experiences you've had or accomplishments you've realized that have helped define you as a person? Legend has it that a man by the name of Hugh Gallagher wrote this response on an application to NYU. I am a dynamic figure, often seen scaling walls and crushing ice. I have been known to remodel train stations on my lunch break, making them more efficient in the area of heat retention. I translate ethnic slurs for Cuban refugees. I write award-winning operas. I manage time efficiently. Occasionally, I tread water for 3 days in a row. I woo women with my sensuous and godlike trombone playing. I can pilot bicycles up severe inclines with unflagging speed, and I cook 30-minute brownies in 20 minutes. I'm an expert in stucco, a veteran in love, and an outlaw in Peru. Using only a hoe and a large glass of water, I once single-handedly defended a small village in the Amazon basin from a horde of ferocious army ants. I play bluegrass cello. I was scouted by the Mets. I am the subject of numerous documentaries. When I'm bored, I build large suspension bridges in my yard. I enjoy urban hang gliding. On Wednesdays after school, I repair electrical appliances free of charge. I am an abstract artist, a concrete analyst, and a ruthless bookie. Critics worldwide swoon over my original line of corduroy evening wear. I don't perspire. I'm a private citizen, yet I receive fan mail. I've been caller number 9 and have won the weekend passes. Last summer, I toured New Jersey with a traveling centrifugal force demonstration. I bat 400. My deft floral arrangements have earned me fame in international botany circles. Children trust me. I can hurl tennis rackets at small moving objects with deadly accuracy. I once read Paradise Lost, Moby Dick, and David Copperfield in one day and still had time to refurbish an entire dining room that evening. I know the exact location of every food item in the supermarket. I have performed several covert operations for the CIA. I sleep once a week, and when I do sleep, I sleep in a chair. While on vacation in Canada, I successfully negotiated with a group of terrorists who had seized a small bakery. The laws of physics do not apply to me. I balance, I weave, I dodge, I frolic, and my bills are all paid. On weekends, to let off steam, I participate in full contact origami. Years ago, I discovered the meaning of life but forgot to write it down. I have made extraordinary 4-course meals using only a moulie and a toaster oven. I breed prize-winning clams. I have won bullfights in San Juan, cliff diving competitions in Sri Lanka, and spelling bees at the Kremlin. I have played Hamlet. I have performed open heart surgery. And I have spoken with Elvis. But I have not yet gone to college. When I was in seminary, I was invited to serve on the school's admissions committee. I read applications and with a team of people decided whether to recommend prospective seminary students for admission to the seminary. And while I don't remember a single one of any of those applications that I read, I'm very confident that none were quite as funny as this essay submitted to NYU by Hugh Gallagher. Of course, I don't actually know what I would have done with an essay like the one Hugh Gallagher submitted. It might make me wonder whether he was serious enough for the kind of academic rigor that he would face in graduate school. I've researched it a bit, and I know that Gallagher did indeed submit the essay for college application. What I don't know is whether he actually got into the school for which he was applying. In fact, I kind of don't want to know, because I love that Gallagher had somehow found a way to be liberated from the fear that probably gets in the way of many a college application essay. Perhaps it's a little like dangling off a cliff, clinging on to a vine while a tiger paws at you from above, and another tiger licks his chops, eagerly waiting for you to fall. And two mice come along and start chewing at that vine. You are about to face certain death, and in the midst of all that fear, you notice a ripe strawberry hanging within reach, and so you grab it and pop it in your mouth for a luscious taste. There are two interpretations of this Buddhist tale. One is the wisdom of living in heightened stress and uncertainty, dangling from that vine, but still able to enjoy life and live in the moment, noticing that strawberry. The other interpretation is the attachments of the physical senses, that tasty strawberry, that lure our attention away from what really matters, staying focused so we can save our life. Is the person who stops for a strawberry while dangling from a vine wise or foolish? The story is like a Zen koan, a riddle meant to be pondered more than answered, and a story that likely means different things to different people depending on where you are in your life. Siddhartha Gautama was born around 566 years before the Common Era. That is, around 566 years before the birth of Jesus. He was born into a royal family in Nepal, and for many years his family tried to keep him isolated from the outside world, keeping him isolated from any suffering that he might be exposed to by leaving the palace. They kept him inside those palace walls for many years, not letting him outside. Perhaps you can imagine being stuck at home day after day with minimal contact with the outside world. Eventually, he made his way out, and he saw people who were suffering from the impact of poverty and hunger, illness, dying, and grief, the stuff of being human. Siddhartha wondered, why? Why do people have to experience sadness? Why do we have to grow older? Why do things have to change? He was asking big questions like the questions that our second and third grade Age of Reasoners are asking right now as they continue to meet in their class online with Catherine. These big questions. What is the meaning of life? Why do bad things happen? Siddhartha decided that he wanted to live not in the protection of a wealthy royal life, but he wanted to live out in the world with limited resources, with ordinary people. And one day, while he was living this simple life, he was meditating under a Bodhi tree, and Siddhartha clearly saw not simply the cause of suffering, but he saw the way out, the way to overcome suffering. And that was the day that he became enlightened, the day he became the Buddha, which translates from the Sanskrit to mean one who is awakened or one who understands the truth. Siddhartha decided to live his life committed to helping other people find that kind of truth and that kind of wisdom so that they too could overcome their suffering. Legend has it that Buddha's enlightenment under the Bodhi tree happened on his birthday, and that many years later, when he was about 80 years old, He died on that very same day. People place his birthday around April 8th. Some place it later in April or early in May. But the idea that his birth and his enlightenment and his death are all on the same day is itself very Buddhist, in that we don't get to decide which occasion is good or bad. It just is. On any particular day, a person comes into the world and we can decide that that is a good day. But on that same day, another person died and has gone from the world. And we could decide that that is a bad day. But enlightenment involves accepting the day in all its complexity without an attachment to whether it is good or whether it is bad. Just accepting the circumstances without judgment, without fear. And so we imagine holding onto a vine for dear life, this man, and maybe this man is you. There's danger in either direction. The vine itself is starting to disappear. Right now, we have a world of people who are facing a shared anxiety. Shared anxiety about that vine disappearing. Whether the vine is life itself, whether the vine is one's income or job threatening to disappear. The vine might be a loved one whose health is threatened. Maybe the vine is emotional stability, which is threatened in the face of isolation or unknowing. The vine could be a relationship. Whatever it is, there is a collective fear moving through our world as we all cling to our vines. Last week, Eric and I went to the grocery store to get some things. We weren't there 10 minutes when I started to feel afraid. People were wearing masks, and I wasn't wearing a mask. The CDC and the national government had not, as of yet, suggested that I should wear a mask, but here were all these other people in masks. I'd also just watched a video of a guy teaching us how germs are everywhere in grocery products. He taught us how to bring them home safely and sanitize them, and that was all really helpful and empowering, but here I was still in the grocery store where all the germs were hiding out on cans and bottles, the grocery cart, the credit card touchpad, in the air. As far as I could tell, the virus was everywhere in that store. It was on my cart. It was in everyone I saw. Everyone I saw was somebody who was probably just about to sneeze on me. My fear started to manifest in my body. I could feel my heart rate increasing. I couldn't even remember why we came to the grocery store in the first place. We grabbed a couple more items, did the self-checkout line, beeline for the car where we loaded up on hand sanitizer. This fear is not a fear I am used to. And it takes a lot of energy for me, as healthy as I am, as low risk as I am, for me to hold an awareness that a virus we cannot see and cannot control, that is highly contagious, that can be deadly for some people, is out and about in our world. And the good news is that this fear response keeps me from being careless or unnecessarily increasing my odds of getting COVID-19. But that's the easy part of this work. The harder work is how to be careful and cautious, but also at the same time find my way back to life. Because sometimes our fear impulses are exaggerated. Sometimes our fear impulses are misplaced or unnecessary or holding us back from living a life of fullness because we can only see that clinging to the vine. That's all we can see sometimes. And what Buddha came to understand all those years ago is that we ought to befriend our fear, befriend our judgments, our anger, our sadness, whatever suffering it is that we are battling. We make friends with it. We listen to what it has to teach us in this moment. What this fear teaches me when I'm listening to it, instead of just being captive to it, is how much I like to know what is going on, and how much I like to be able to predict what will happen to me and to my loved ones and to the world. What my fear reminds me is that I like to hold on to a sense that I can control the people and circumstances and events in my life. At very least, I feel like I should be able to know when I can finally schedule a face-to-face meeting again, or be able to go to the grocery store and buy the 24-pack of toilet paper when I'm running low. I ought to be able to know when I can do these things. Truth is, I start to depend on things sort of staying the same, staying predictable. I even rest my happiness on whether I feel like I can control people and circumstances and events around me. And I get really unsettled in the midst of change, in the midst of uncertainty and chaos. Not just fear, but sadness too, and self-doubt and anger. And what Buddha discovered sitting under that Bodhi tree centuries ago is that no matter our suffering, we all have the capacity as human beings to release our attachments to that which makes us suffer simply by being mindful about what those attachments are. The beauty of this story of the man gripping the vine is that he was not clinging so tightly that he couldn't take in the fuller picture. He did not let fear be his only response. In the midst of fear, he was able to stay open to the possibility that joy might still be out there in the world and within reach. Now, this story doesn't work if you're tempted to pass judgment on the man or his situation. And Buddhism itself says that a fullness of living also does not work if you're focused on judging yourself or judging other people or judging your circumstances. If you are presently judging yourself, judging others, judging your circumstances, you are not living fully. That judgment gets in your way. We can be so quick to try to discern what is good and what is bad, what is right, what's wrong. We cling to what we think is good and right, and we think that will give us permanent happiness. But sooner or later, that clinging leads to suffering, because nothing is permanent. There is an inevitable force in the universe that means that everything is changing all of the time. And when the time comes for the thing you are clinging to disappear, you want to be sure that you are not still clinging to it. Where is your suffering right now? Can you befriend it? Can you listen to it? Let it teach you, let it show you what it is you are clinging to. Last month, I was talking to someone who just came out of their first experience of a 10-day silent meditation. No talking, no internet, rigid schedules, getting up early, full days of sitting meditation. And I asked how it was, and they said it was excruciating. And when asked whether they'd do it again, they said, in a heartbeat. Now, I didn't ask, but I imagine that the fruit of that practice was worth the suffering. And although none of us choose social distancing or the circumstances we presently are in, which for some of us is excruciating, I invite you to notice where and how this practice of social distancing, of clearing your calendar, of not shopping, of doing whatever it was, of not doing whatever it was you used to do when you were out in the world, how this practice is speaking to you about what it is you cling to. Just like in silent retreat, which, by the way, people pay money to attend, many of you have this opportunity right now to notice what your life is like when stripped of some of the defenses that you normally rely on to feel good, to be distracted, to feel purposeful. How do you manage chaos and uncertainty without masking with all that busyness, without masking with constantly doing for others, or whatever it is that fills your life with meaning and purpose? How do you come back to who you are and what you are? Can you handle the silence? Can you handle the stillness, the slowness? And for those of you who are busier than ever, can you adjust to this pace without clinging, without losing your sense of joy and wonder and peace? This period of time, this pandemic, or whatever it is you're going through, is not a pause in your life. This is your life. This moment, which might include suffering, also has so much glorious potential and possibility as any other moment in your life. Whatever you have decided were your peak moments in life, or whatever you think your peak moments in life are going to be, let go of that notion, let go of that judgment, and decide that right now, right here, is your time. Even if you are stuck at home, how will you embrace your circumstances and come back to life? The world needs you to come back to life. I heard a doctor recently urge people to be alert, not anxious, so that we can keep our vibrant and creative energies alive. Alert, not anxious. Thich Nhat Hanh says, we don't need everyone in the world to be not anxious. We just need one person to be not anxious, and it will spread out among the group. There is a joy in just being alive. An African-American spiritual, a song that emerged in the terror of enslavement, says, this joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me, and the world can't take it away. That is to say that joy and peace and love are not only found things in the world. They are not only found in the expectations we have of where we think joy and peace and love must be. You know, we think that Easter joy is only found in gathering together and hiding and finding plastic eggs, but where else might we cultivate Easter joy this year? Or we think that Passover must be experienced in a large community, in presence together with friends and family, but how else can we cultivate that community? What expectations are getting in your way of living fully right now? And how might you come back to life in new ways? Let's sing together this joy that I have. And those of you at home, I hope you will sing loudly, maybe even dance as if no one is watching. Each week we give and receive an offering to support the work of this congregation. And there are two ways, specifically during this time, that I ask for your support. The first is financial. We're facing a loss of income for this year due to the pandemic, but we are committed to continuing to pay our staff so that they do not end up in economic hardship. If you are able to continue paying your pledge, I urge you to do so, and also to stay current on your pledge payments, knowing that some people might not be making payments right now, and knowing that our rental income is significantly decreased. If you yourself are facing economic hardship, please let us know if you need to adjust your pledge, and also let us know how we can be helpful to you during this time. The other way that I ask for your support is to reach out to others. If you're a member of First Unitarian Church, you should have access to our latest membership directory. Reach out to those you know. Reach out to those you don't know. Bring your non-anxious presence and love of life to someone else who might need to remember. And now I invite you to join me in saying together the words of our offering dedication. To the work of this congregation, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action, we dedicate our lives and these our offerings.
How strange it feels to be alive today, when all the world is sleeping, all is quiet. The creatures of the field have gone astray. Bare branches sigh and grope towards the gray sky. Mine eyes alone gaze out upon the waste. Harsh winds traverse the regions of my mind, and there beneath the mask that is my face are blown away the dust of thoughts unkind. Suddenly, the dreary mist is lifted. A beam of hope shines glistening on the ground, and through my fingers memories are sifted to melt within the happiness I've found. I cast the blinding mask into the sun to realize that the world and I are one.
Look out your window. The world is coming back to life. The earth is coming back to life. Trees are filling out. Birds and squirrels are nesting. Flowers are blooming. The air is cleaner. The earth is coming back to life. And she is inviting you to come back to life as well. Befriend the ouchy parts of life. Listen to your suffering. Be gentle with your responses. Do not let your responses or another's be judged. Do not let your happiness rest on the things of this earth. Do not let your peace rest on the need to control your circumstances or another person or the world. In this spring season that is forcing many into hibernation, more suited for winter, may you find a truth bigger than you ever imagined. May you awaken to joy more luscious than the sweetest strawberry. May you experience a peace that the world didn't give you and the world cannot take away. We extinguish our chalice, symbol of our interdependence with one another and the world, knowing that nothing can separate us. Shine on.
Sells her mangoes in the marketplace, embroidered stars and little bits of lace. Down by the seaside in the morning sun, she smiles and sings a lot to everyone. They call her Pamela. Up on the mountain where she makes her home, they strum guitars and play on the cajon. Torch the citadel as the sun goes down. Children chasing dogs and chickens.